Hey friends, welcome to the Anton's Lyrical Rock Show, and today's episode is brought to you by Sharon, who has requested that we check out the song Hemorrhage by Fuel off of their 2000 record, Something Like Human. And for anyone who doesn't know who Fuel is, they're an American rock band formed in 1989 and is led by frontman John Corsale. And also, be sure to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to be revealing how you can win a free song quest and get exclusive bonus content. And that's it, so let's get into Fuel Hemorrhage.
Memories are just where you lay down. Drag the waters till the depths give up their dead.
Very 90s.
What did you expect to find? Was it something you left behind? Don't you remember anything I said when I said don't fall away? Leave me to myself. Don't fall away.
This is gonna have a big chorus. Reminds me of like a blend of like Matchbox 20 and Creed in a weird way. I don't know why. Like the passion of Creed and a bit like Matchbox 20 Rob Thomas. Yeah.
Am I the only place that you left to go?
I love the passion.
Life is like some movie black and white. Just thinking lines over and over and over again to cries. Don't fall away, leave me to myself. Don't fall away, leave love bleeding in my hands again. Leave love bleeding in my hands, love lies bleeding. And I wanted you turned away. You don't remember, but I do.
So many layers.
Never even tried.
God, I love 90s rock.
Don't fall away, leave me to myself. Don't fall away, leave that bleeding in my hands again. Leave that bleeding in my hands again. Leave that bleeding in my hands again.
Big bridge. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Fuel's Hemorrhage. Wow, man. How big was Fuel back in the day? Because I feel like I know of that name, but I've never listened to any of their music. But it's like, this is what's weird about the 90s, is that some bands maintain their popularity to this day, and other bands just drop off, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's internal struggles with the band. I don't know if it was I don't know, but like there's all of these incredible bands that I've either like heard of in passing or never heard of. Like again, Tonic was a band that I'm growing to love that I never even knew existed. Matchbox 20, never even heard of that name when I was growing up. Oddly enough, it's just crazy. And like these bands are incredible. When I'm listening to this, I'm like, man, this is like 90s rock is my shit. You know what I mean? And like I said, this kind of reminds me of a blend of like Matchbox 20 and Creed. With like I don't know, like Matchbox 20 and Creed. Like some of his vocal mannerisms are that mixture of Scott Stapp and Rob Thomas. Like he doesn't have quite that Pearl Jam Scott Stapp like voice, but he has that a lot of grit, a lot of power, a lot of passion in the way he'll just like throw himself forward, and then also like a lot of feeling of like Rob Thomas. And again, I'm wondering what happened to these bands. Did the music industry, did we like just not pay attention to them anymore? Because I know at this time, this is something I've been thinking about lately with music, is that this was a time that like MTV and record companies ruled who was going to be like they essentially told you who you were gonna like. You know what I mean? Because you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have the internet. How would you even like this is what's kind of blowing my mind right now. Like, I grew up I'm a 95 kid, so my formative years were probably 2006 to 2008 or 9. You know what I mean? That was like when I was really coming into my own with music. So we had YouTube was just kind of coming out, but it wasn't like a big player yet. You know what I mean? It didn't tell you, like it didn't throw stuff around here. And I'm trying to think, like, okay, it was the radio. So for me, everything was the radio. We didn't really watch MTV for whatever reason, a bit, but it was more rap. But yeah, it was the radio. So if you only knew if something existed, if it was on the radio or MTV, and then maybe like Rolling Stone magazine, right? Those were like the 3 avenues to even know what existed or not. Now, not only what existed, but on MTV, I remember the days where they'd play the same song over and over. This was like when I was at my buddy Lucas's house. I never watched MTV at my house. I don't think we were allowed to. I think my parents blocked it. But when I was at Lucas's, I remember like they just kind of play the same like 5 songs, 10 songs over and over. Like it would be like song, and then repeat the same things all the time. So essentially it was like, there was a lot of great music at that point. You know what I mean? Like Linkin Park was one of these bands. But yeah, it was like they kind of told you what you're going to like. You had 8 options. The radio was more than MTV, but they kind of gave you 10, 20 songs and that's what you're going to listen to. And then you'd go out and buy a CD of one of the 10 bands to 20 bands that they played. You wouldn't know anyone really outside that unless you did a lot of digging or went to live shows, which I never went to live shows. So it was just like, I'm like, there was this period where these artists had to play the game of the record producers, the record labels. They couldn't not. That's just what the game was. This is what was going to happen. And it's blowing my mind. Now, I think sometimes because I'm from a younger generation, I don't understand how difficult it was to get famous and stay famous. Like now, let's say I'm as big as Alex Hefner, Nick Nocturnal, I don't know, Tank the Tech, Breakdown Nath and Johnny or whatever. Like, when we're that big, we can literally, like YouTube is the new MTV, it's the new radio. No one really listens to the radio. We all have playlists, Spotify. You know what I mean? Now it's like you get onto Spotify's playlist, you get big onto YouTube. But at least the cool thing is nowadays is that Nick Nocturnal, Alex Hefner can choose what he actually likes, not like about money. You know what I mean? He's like, oh man, I love this band. I'm just going to keep like every new song they put out. And there's a trust in us nowadays that was never there with the record labels. Like us as listeners to the record labels, we didn't have trust. We didn't really know what was happening. It was like, these are the 10 songs or 10 artists that are in front of us. And then this is what we have to choose from. Out of the 10, we like 2 of them, we go buy that album. But like I said, it's kind of like how I view politics a lot. It's like, we don't choose who actually makes their way up to be in the presidential race. Like, we don't know behind the scenes the gatekeepers who are like, yeah, you're allowed to run for president. You're not. You're too much of an outlier. And then it was like this with this. It was like, okay, yeah, we're not going to push you. We're going to push you. You're going to be on MTV every 2 hours. every single one of your songs is going to be just on repeat. It's like it's just so crazy. And now like we've kind of YouTube, I think, tries to do that with AI algorithms, but luckily, yeah, I guess they can like kind of turn off what they want, turn up what they don't want, turn up what they want. It is kind of a bit there's some similarities, but yeah, Nick Nocturnal and Alex Hefner can just have on who they want. And they're big enough that all their viewers will have the capacity to see whatever they put up, because they're like, hey, check every single day and you'll see all the new videos, right? Like if you miss MTV, you miss MTV. Like, they usually play the same thing over and over. This is the difference with, I guess, YouTube, is that we're not playing the same song over and over. We do one reaction and it's there and you can check all of it. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. And I think what might happen moving forward is I have a hunch that we're going to start acting more like record labels. Like we're probably going to end up creating our Spotify playlist. Nick Nocturnal already has this, where like we have our Spotify playlists that are like how we as a record company show off musicians. You know what I mean? Because no one can sort through 1,000 videos and get any context of what you're supposed to check out. So now, I might even do this. Who knows? I'm just actually thought about it right as I'm talking to you guys. But I might get to a point where it depends if I still love doing this in a few years or even in a few months or whatever. Things fluctuate really rapidly in life, but I might create like a playlist of like, what were my favorite songs of the year so far. I might have 50 slots. This playlist is always going to be 50 songs, and it's of 2022. What are my top 50 songs of 2022? Every time I put one back in, I take one out. There's 50 slots. That's it. And so all of you go like, oh, I wonder what I like 80% of the stuff Anton likes. All right, I'll go check out the Spotify playlist. Next thing you know, I'm a record label, because now I'm categorizing and choosing what becomes popular. But the cool thing is there's every single YouTuber has a record label now. Nick Nocturnal is a record label. Anton Zachary is a record label. Alex Hefner, Tank the Tech, Breakdown Nath, and Johnny. We're all record labels. And so it's not one record label or one MTV that chooses. It's your favorite 20 YouTubers all have their different lists. And I think that's kind of very cool. So if I do stay in this musical lane for a lot longer, I just have to figure out where I'm going to put all my energy, because we only have so many hours in the day to choose what we do with our lives. And that's the question I'm very much coming up with the podcast and with my other channel, as I'm putting more focus and more energy into wanting that to be a real thing. Yeah, it's interesting. I might start looking at this channel like a record label, like a benevolent record label. And really, instead of just me doing this because I enjoy it, I might take a more active role in helping musicians and helping you actually find new music. There would have to be a psychological shift, though, because right now people only listen to what they want. Or at least the average person. There are a lot of you actually that I really appreciate that will check out every video I put up and see if you like it. And believe me, that's cool. I've been not fighting, but I've been waiting for this moment for 2 years for people to actually check out new stuff and trust me enough. And then that, in turn, I have to become more of a barrier of what I put on the channel. I have to only do things I actually value, because now I have a relationship with you that you trust me. I didn't have that relationship with myself a year and a half ago. I just put up whatever was big, whatever was making its rounds. Now, it's very interesting. I might alter how I do things on the channel. Like I might only publish publicly videos that I like, and then publish privately for all the patrons or whatever videos that I not as fan of. Because again, I might want to make this be more like a record label. Also, if I do that, I would be able to alter my hours a bit more, grind less. And yeah, if I can make most of my income and stuff with my podcast and everything, I can do this for fun and literally try to do this like a record label, put out like 2 videos a week and be like, these are the 2 songs I think all of you should check out this week. Who knows? I'm still in the process of figuring out how this music channel will fit into my future. Because I want to do this for fun. One thing that's becoming, and I know this is a long video, I'm just Yeah, as I'm transitioning more of my energy to the podcast, I'm viewing this more as fun, and I'm less viewing this like I used to, which was like an obligation and how I was going to survive in the world. This was my main breadwinner. This was my main source of income, so I better do it well, and not just my passion at well, but do it by numbers. Get the most intrigue in numbers. But things are changing because I'm viewing this more now as my fun thing on the side, and I'm viewing my other channel as the big thing, where before it was completely reversed. That was my fun thing. This was my main thing. But I want to make music. I want to have more fun with this. So I'm just, starting to view it a bit differently. But like overall, like I said with this one, I like this song a lot. I love 90s rock, Fuel, and just, all these bands have the kind of sound I like. I like big chorus, anthemic. I love all the violins in the background of this song. Very epic song. What is the singer's name again? John. John has just a very emotional, big passion. Like, his passion is pretty powerful. I gotta say, John's passion is powerful. Again, it gives me a Scott Stapp. That's what I like about Scott Stapp. My Sacrifice. I love his passion and his power that he has in that song. But let's jump into the lyrics behind this one now. All right, we're back with Fuel Hemorrhage. So what have the artist said about the song? Songwriter Carl Bell spoke candidly about the meaning behind the song in VH1 Storytellers. When I was younger, my grandmother got cancer. By the time they found it, it was much too late. Instead of sitting in some hospital, she wanted to go home and be home. She wanted to go home and be home. And my mother and my aunts and their husbands went to sit with her at home. A few months passed and the cancer had spread. It had eaten up most of her body and all of her hope. It was a bad time. One particular day was a really bad day for her. My mother was sitting with her that evening and she turned to my mom and said, "How do you die?" It crushed my mom and it's still crushing me. Wow. Okay, let's look at this from the perspective of him and his grandmother. Memories are just where you leave them. Drag the waters till the depths give up their dead. Very poetic. I like Carl's lyrics. What did you expect to find? Was it something you left behind? Don't you remember anything I said when I said, don't fall away and leave me to myself? Don't fall away and leave love bleeding in my hands again. Leave love bleeding in my hands again. Love lies bleeding. That's such a, it very much feels like a line from Him, the band Him. For anyone who doesn't know Him, incredible band, check out Wings of a Butterfly. I have a reaction to that one too. But that feels very much like the poetic and dark lyricism of Billy. Oh, hold me now, I feel contagious. Am I the only place that you've left to go? She cries her life is like some movie, black and white, dead actors faking lines. Over and over and over again she cries. And I wanted you to turn away. You don't always remember, but I do, you never even tried. Yeah, what I get from this one, quite self-explanatory wise, is just, it hurts when you love something so much and it ceases to exist in the world anymore. You know what I mean? As simple as that. It's like, you know, your favorite character in a TV show. It's nowhere near real, but it's like, you know, I've watched Game of Thrones. I've watched TV shows where, you know, people that I really had started to care about died. And it's like, even in a TV show, the feeling is so empty. You know, you just cry. Like, yeah, it's just such a wild thing. You know, I'm very lucky. I've never had anyone close to me die yet. My cousin died, but I was a lot younger. I was 14 when he killed himself. And it impacted me in a very different way. Not because I knew him so well, but because what hit me very hard was I loved what I knew about him. I loved when we did talk, and I loved his older brother way of taking care of me and loving me. And it was more like, for that, it was like the loss of what could have been. Because I knew how good of a human being he was. It was almost like the world lost such a sensitive soul. And I projected a lot of myself into that. But I've never actually lost anyone I actually knew very well. My mom's still alive. My dad's still alive. My friends are still alive. But yeah, just I can only literally extrapolate from the feeling I have losing somebody in a television show. Do you know what I mean? And tenfolding that. And the feeling of loss I have momentarily, and the feeling of shock, and the feeling of what is this world without that person? You know, they were part of your world. They're a part of you, you know, in some sense. Yeah, when you invest time and emotions and love into somebody, they become part of your world. Like in a very deep way, if you actually think about it, they become part of you. They become part of your life. They become part of your decision-making process. They become part of what happens when you're having a hard time and you feel like you can't go on. So you go to them. It's like you almost go to them because you need another part of yourself to like equalize you. They become part of what allows you to live. They become a part of what allows you not to drown. And then when they're gone, that part of you is gone too. And it just, yeah, it's just gone, you know? But ladies and gentlemen, this was Fuel's Hemorrhage. Overall, love this one. I'm very excited to check out more from Fuel. And what are your favorite Fuel songs? Let me know down below. And now for the big reveal. So if you want to win a free song request, like this video, share this video with one person you think would enjoy it, comment who you shared it with, and leave your request in the comment. And remember that submissions need a minimum of 10 million views, and this is not the case with Patreon requests. So if you want to join the Patreon family and get guaranteed song requests without a limit, and full album reactions and much more, join everyone in our Patreon family. First link in the description below. And while you're there, definitely join the community. We have a Discord community where all of you guys can hang out, win free giveaways, and take part in all of our monthly events. So definitely join there, and you can say hi to me as well. And that's pretty much it. So thank you all for hanging out with me today. And if you resonate with anything I was talking about in the video, I talk about this stuff all the time on my podcast. You can check that out, as I alluded to. And that's pretty much it. So also, if you want to support me, definitely leave a like and subscribe and share this video to win that free song request. And that's it. So I'll see all of you in the next episode. I love you. Bye.